A burglar chooses the wrong house when an underage girl, trained to use a handgun, follows her mother's advice. Stop the Threat starts now. Hello and welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On this week's episode, our guest will be Michael Carrizales, retired Texas peace officer, senior 911 telecommunicator, as well as lead instructor for Gander Mountain Academy in Spring, Texas. Wes Doss, founder and president of Kyber Interactive Associates. Wes has a PhD and is internationally recognized as a firearms instructor. Rob Pincus has joined us once again, managing editor of the Personal Defense Network. You know, Rob, before we get started, though, I want you to tell me about the Association of Defense Shooting Instructors.
Association of Defensive Shooting Instructors is something I'm very excited about. What we've done is we've come together, some of the leaders, some of the legends really in the industry, Masad Ayub, Tom Gibbons, Marty Hayes, Robbie Barkman, who was there at the birth of the private sector firearms training industry in the U.S., several other people. Mike Seeklander is one of the guys on our advisory committee. And what we've done is we've come together to provide a resource for anyone interested in defensive firearms instruction, military, law enforcement, of course, people training civilians with CCW permits or for home defense, is to provide a resource for continuing education and professional development. So it's an educational entity that we want to kind of give something back to the industry and encourage people to become more professional and better educated. Okay, and they are able to obtain this information by way of? A-D-S-I.org. On the internet, of course, they can use any search engine, put in Association of Defensive Shooting Instructors. They'll find out about membership, some of the educational resources we offer, including articles, videos, and complete online courses that they can take and actually get certified in various different areas that the instructors and the advisory committee have come up with for online training. You know, teaching women, teaching concealed carry permits, helping people find the right gun to fit them, kind of any area that's applicable to defensive shooting. Okay, all right, good. Wes, tell me about the tour that you do.
The tour is in its first year. This is the Light, Sights, and Lasers U.S. Tour, and it kicks off towards the end of this year and runs through the better part of next year. 19 host departments all over the United States, from Hawaii to Alaska to Florida to the Midwest, over 9 months. And it's a cost-free, fully sponsored event that is available. It's providing the attendees with 8 hours of continuing education or continuing credit. It's going to be a great time. Okay,
so this is free and is to law enforcement.
Free to law enforcement. Yes.
Wow, that's pretty generous
First year
of
to
your
law
time.
enforcement, and then we're going to be branching it out in future to outside of law enforcement.
Yeah, outstanding. Okay, we're down to about a minute, but I want to know a little bit about the firearms training that you do, Michael.
It's in a couple of facets. I am a T-close police instructor. I teach at one of the local community colleges. I'm a concealed handgun license instructor, so we do the concealed handgun license program at a couple of locations. I'm also a licensed by the Private Security Bureau as a commissioned armed guard instructor and as a personal protection officer instructor.
Okay, well, that's pretty thorough. Okay, let me tell you about what the crime is going to be this week. We're going to go to Oklahoma. We don't normally see crime that involves a girl of this age. I think you're going to find this very interesting. When we come back, I'll show you part 1. We'll talk about it, and I'll show you part 2. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're going to talk about a situation that we don't normally see, and it brings up a lot of questions about how soon someone young should be involved with gun training, gun familiarity. And this part 1 is a rather unique crime that took place in Oklahoma. So let's just look at part 1, and then we'll come back and we'll comment.
But Mom, why do you have to go and work on a Saturday?
I have a big project at work that has to be done by Sunday. I'll be home by dinner.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too. Now you lock the door behind me.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, honey. Listen, I'm driving.
Mom,
What's the matter?
there's a man trying to break into our house.
Okay, now I'm a little confused at this part because I'm not sure right now at this point whether or not he is there to take her or to burglarize the house. I'm not sure that makes any difference. What do you see?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, right? We don't know. We're not inside the mind of the reenactment. So is he seeing the girl and deciding he wants to break in or not? I think either way, let's talk about what she did, right? Because we don't know why he did what he did, but what she did was great, right? She probably should have acted a little bit earlier, but I think what I got was her intention was she's not going to answer the door to a stranger. She doesn't need to get up off the couch. She's going to sit there and hope that he goes away. When it became evident that he was going to try to get in, she took the appropriate action.
Right. In fact, I think she tried to slide down in that couch. I know a lot of people leave their TV on, some kind of a security system. So she tries to slide down in there. Maybe he doesn't hear that. I have a feeling that she's had some sort of drill on this.
It certainly would look that way, that at least if they hadn't discussed it with her. But it looked like also that typical reluctance on a lot of kids' parts to pick up the phone and do the 911 call because we're not sure and we might get in trouble if we did something wrong, so we called mom.
So we call mom, right.
Which is a good thing, it's a bad thing because it puts an immediate delay into the process.
Right.
But at least you're fact checking.
Okay, that's a good point. Now speaking of 911 or mom.
Well, that's the parents' coaching. It should be directed for them to call 911 because, as Wes said, we're losing valuable time here. There's responding officers. We would teach the children to dial 911. There is a lesson of doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing. The right thing would be to pick up the phone, call 911.
Okay. Does anybody have the same feeling I do that she's comfortable with what she's doing? I mean, I don't see a panic really. I see some urgency, but I don't see a panic. I mean, I think a lot of children, unless they've been told otherwise, now, I'm not an expert on children, unless they've been told otherwise, they might answer the door. So something had to, some conversation has had to take place between mom and the daughter, and some sort of drill worked out here that she slides down and she avoids getting off the couch and going, well, who's at the door?
Well, there's definitely a reluctance to deal with the person, which is good and probably trained and coached. But I'll tell you, a good friend of mine had a home invasion situation in Virginia Beach. The bad guys came in through the front door, pushed the mom back into the house. There were younger kids downstairs, older child upstairs, with no training, no planning, no drilling, no coaching whatsoever. The older child went right to the phone and called 911 and didn't get sucked into it. So sometimes people just do the right things because as a society, we've educated people about the
Okay, so you're going to agree with Michael, and 911 would have probably been the proper first call to make, unless you've been told otherwise by...
Well, yeah, I mean, there kids and other people are told all the time, you know, that you've had 911 calls. Well, no, there's the guy who's supposed to be there that's working on the plumbing, or there's a guy there supposed to be trimming the trees in the front yard. So then the kid is chastised at some point in time for having made the 911 call because people have responded or whatever. So it becomes this response, this conditioned response. It's kind of I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything bad. I mean, she called her mom first. I would assume, of course we haven't seen it yet, that she probably hang up and call 911 right away.
Okay, well,
my response.
We're going to find out exactly what takes place in part 2, so don't go away. Welcome back. We are looking at a home alone situation in Oklahoma. It's a very young girl. We've seen part 1. We've seen some things there that impress us with the way the young lady conducted herself. And now we're going to watch part 2. Let's see it.
There's a man trying to break into our house.
Okay, I want you to go to the bedroom, and I want you to get the gun and hide in my closet. I'm gonna call the police. Go now. Get the gun and get in my closet. I'm on my way home.
Okay, I'm going to start this off by saying they have run a drill. They've been to the range. She seems very familiar with the weapon. She seems very familiar with what she's supposed to do.
Absolutely, and being a father of 2 daughters myself, I can tell you that there are a lot of families out there that are very proactive about that, and kids learn to respect and the ability to manage those weapons at a relative early age, and it obviously shows in this situation.
Okay, Rob?
Absolutely. You know, my daughter is in an age bracket now where she's about to go off on her own, and when she goes off on her own, she has the skills, and you know, when she's old enough and lives in a place where she can have her own firearm in the house for personal defense, you know, she's had those skills for a long time, and I would hope that she would have responded in very similar ways. You know, this girl got into a position where she was hidden, she was barricaded, she was behind the door, she was armed, she had already communicated with her mom was on the way back. You know, she didn't go looking for trouble, she didn't call out, she was hidden, and she acted when she needed to.
Yeah, I personally think that she probably handled this as good as any adult might have done in the same circumstances. They spent some time together. They knew what to do. Earlier we discussed 911 and who you should call first. In this particular case, I'm going to say they drilled this. She knew to call mom first, get the advice. She knew where the weapon was. She knew to go to the closet. She knew to cock it, and she had it up. And when the door opened, go, Michael.
The girl is very disciplined. She did not argue with mom. She obeyed mom's instructions. The parents, they have executed the part about the need-to-know basis. The girl knew exactly where the gun was. The young lady knew exactly what to do with the gun once she had it in her hand. She didn't fumble with it. She was pointing it directly at the alleged target, and as soon as the door opened, surprise.
All right. More than one shot necessary?
No, there was a hit. The burglar left the scene. She felt more relaxed. Now she's waiting on mom.
Okay. Now, you're all parents. And so this is something that you would wish your child would do.
Absolutely.
And you spent time preparing them for something like this.
That's true.
Okay. And that's what you would recommend to viewers. That now, see, this is where the controversy comes in, because it's the gun, it's not a gun, is it locked up, is it in a safe, go to it. I mean, you can see where this is going to be, you know, because you hear about the bad side and the good side of having the gun in a location that a child can reach.
Well,
so
it was obvious that some level of respect for the weapon had been ingrained in this child, because, I mean, she knew where it was at, but she wasn't, you know, wasn't playing with it earlier. I mean, this had all indications per the reenactment. You know, there was a respect in the household for the firearm, although the firearm wasn't locked up. Perhaps that level of respect had been established in the home, and the girl never played with it.
Okay.
I am a big fan of the quick access safe, but that's not necessarily to keep an educated child who's old enough to control the gun from having access to it. So the quick access safe in that drawer, or even in that closet in the barricade area, you know, we can fine tune this. We can work it out and say, okay, well, that was pretty good. Here could be better. But again, I'm fine with everything she did. It could be fine tuned.
Okay. All right. When we come back, Michael's going to tell us what he thinks from a law enforcement point of view. So don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. We've looked at the home alone situation with a young girl who appears to have done everything correctly. She's gone through the drill with mom. They know what to do. I got a couple of problems. One of them is maybe leaving the back gate open when you're leaving home. You know, that might be something I would want to look into. I might suggest that if the child's going to be home alone, even though you have a drill worked out, yeah, I don't know. They locked the door. Okay, I'm good with that. They might have locked the gate. What do you think?
So often, you know, the missing element or the weak link is the human behavior in any security system. So they had a really nice, tall, wrought iron gate with a good lock. There was a deadbolt installed in it, but they didn't use it. And we see that a lot. You have the resources, but you don't necessarily use them. And that's a way to look, you know, further back the trail. Could have avoided that little girl having to shoot that guy.
Yeah, actually, if I think about it, the bad guy even looked surprised when he opened it. He went, "Oh, it's open," you know. So that might be something we'd look into.
We have so many communities, though, in the United States that have an open format in residential neighborhoods too, though. I mean, and that's, you can say that in one place. I mean, where I live in the Southwest, everything's a fenced backyard and gated. But you go up into the Northeast, and you've got these big open backyards where there is no security. You know, people walk from one backyard to another backyard. So it's hard to say something like that as, you know, advocate it universally sometimes.
Okay, let's think about a home that does not have a plan. They've not taken their child out to the range. They've not run through a drill if anything were to happen while you're home alone. And maybe they don't own a weapon. Give me some suggestions.
Most homes are going to have a fire detector. How many families have practiced a simulation fire drill? Okay, the same thing applies with a burglary. There does not have to be a firearm present in the house. There has to be drills of what to do. Pick up the phone, lock yourself in a room you can't be gotten, learn to dial 911. So sometimes your viewers have this idea that, well, the gun perhaps is not the right thing with my children.
Right.
Because everyone has their unique obligation of how they want to bring up their children.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. I think there's a lot of people out there who say, you know, at that age, I don't want my child to be handling my guns or that kind of a thing. Okay, if that's the way you feel, I don't have a problem with that. But then, again, have a plan. Okay, I don't have any problem with going over that same plan and establishing a safe room. What's the matter with that? And you just go in the safe room, lock yourself in. Hopefully you brought the phone with you, but if you didn't, at least you're in a safe area and he can't get in.
Well, there's how long does he have, how much access does he have, what tools does he have. So, that was a very large bathroom, a very large closet. They certainly could have taken steps to reinforce, put a deadbolt in there, do something to reinforce that as the safe room, but it's still only a delay. So there has to be a real plan in place for personal defense, and I think that child obviously was old enough to handle personal defense.
Right. I think it's an unusual situation. I mean, I don't have a feeling that every child at that age all across the country who have parents that do own weapons have probably gone through that drill. So I'm pretty safe in saying have a safe room. Know where it is, get yourself in there, and lock yourself in. Even if you don't have a phone, at least you're going to be safe. There's a lot more on this, but we're out of time. Viewers, thank you very much for watching this week. I know that you probably will have some comments about this. I want to hear from you. And I'll leave you with this. The only gunfight you win is the one you do not get into. See you next week. Be safe, be trained, be alert.